Great. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Becker, the Assistant Superintendent in the Anacortes School District, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for attending either in person or live stream or seeing this on record later on. I do want to note that most people are participating live stream. We have very few people here, and they are in further away in the background. So the presenters are going to go without masks, and we're all at a very safe distance. Again, I want to thank everybody for participating today. This is really important. Mental health and wellness and well-being is very important to our community, our staff, our students, and our district, as well as our foundation, Anacortes Schools Foundation, and all of our community partners. And part of our efforts around mental health and well-being is making sure that we are taking preventative measures and approaches to support and address signs of suicide. And so this is an adopted program within the district. It is a curriculum implemented at the middle and high school. We do it annually, where we meet with small groups of students, and this year we're going to do that at the end of January and the beginning or middle about February, to make sure that they understand the preventative natures and also know how to ask for help regarding signs of suicide. We just want to make sure that we clarify or communicate our goal. It is our goal to deepen student skills and strategies, and for tonight to deepen parents and community member strategies around supporting health and well-being, wellness, and identifying when students need additional support and ongoing preventative approaches to health and well-being. This will also give students a venue once we implement this curriculum with our students, an avenue to reach out for help if they need. We have deep partnerships with our hospital for mental health services, as well as other services in collaboration with our hospital partners. Right now, our mental health program is used extensively, and we are at capacity due to COVID. We know that and acknowledge that mental health needs have increased since COVID. Generally, this has been a hardship on all of our hospital and mental health providers. And in the weeks right now, in this surge, I do want to acknowledge that there's an especially hardship on all of our providers. And so as we are collectively working together, we are really taking a collective and initial approach on focusing preventative natures to the best that we can to support our students, and also making sure that students have the best supports that they need and that we can be responsive to student needs. So with acknowledging and framing the work that we have ahead of us and the supports around mental health and well-being of students, I want to introduce our presenter for tonight. Miss Becky Ballback is a former colleague of mine and a highly respected leader in the community. She was a director of student services in Everett Public Schools for many years. She also was a middle and high school counselor and an administrator, an assistant principal at a middle school. She served as the president in the Washington School Counseling Association and a delegate of the advisory board of National Office of School Counseling Advocacy. This is really important because a big part of mental health and well-being and a collaboration with our partnerships, our counselors tend to be the point person in supporting students in getting access to the right services. And they support the implementation of the Signs of Suicide program. Becky has also been a presenter on a webinar for Ed Week around social emotional learning for students. And she has spent a large amount of time in her roles, both as a counselor, but then as a district leader and as a school leader, really supporting district counseling teams, endorsing and institutionalizing the counseling practices to support rigorous academic, college, career, and life readiness, as well as student social, emotional learning, and health. In addition to all of that, Becky has also spent over 20 years supporting and coordinating district crisis response teams. And in that coordination of leading the school counselors and leading and being a part of the crisis coordination, she has led and supported the implementation of SOS, or signs of suicide, in the district that she worked in, Everett School District. She also has many other things that she has done, and she has many awards. She's been awarded for her presidential support, for her role as a president in the Washington School Counselors. And so we're just very honored, and we want to welcome Miss Becky Ballback as she comes here to present to you tonight and to give you the information on signs of suicide, and hopefully inform parents so that you have skills and supports to increase and support students' mental health and well-being. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Becky after I put my mask back on.
Thank you, Becky, for that warm welcome. And I want to thank you all for coming tonight, being here, whether you are here in person or you are watching this presentation via live stream. We're glad you're here. This is such an important topic for us all to inform ourselves about, to learn more about, to be knowledgeable about, so that we can be part of the prevention efforts in our community, in our schools, when it comes to the topic of suicide. I wanted to acknowledge that this is can be a very challenging topic for everyone, and it's a heavy topic for us all. So anytime during this presentation this evening, whether you are here live or whether you are watching via live stream, feel free to take a break if you need to do that. Just recognizing that this is a lot. And I also want to remember that help is always available. Point out that there are resources available to us 24/7. A couple of include the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and then the crisis text line that you can access, like I say, 24/7. We will make sure that these resources are on the district website so that you can go to them if you should ever need them. Our agenda tonight is about helping your child save a life. We're going to talk about the youth suicide prevention basics. We're going to describe ACT, which is an acronym, stands for Knowledge, Care, Tell. We're going to discuss what to do when your child does act. And we're going to highlight coping skills that will help build not only your students' resiliency, but also those of their friends. Then we will share some resources. So why does suicide happen? It's a really complex issue, but one, the overarching reason is that they are trying to stop intense emotional pain. It's like I say, a very complex mix of factors that can lead someone to think about suicide. Majority of people who die by suicide have a mental health disorder, most commonly depression. And these mental health conditions are treatable, but so many kids don't get help and they suffer without getting help. So when depression goes untreated, a young person may begin to feel just helpless, and that can they can feel so hopeless that they start thinking about suicide. Drinking or substance abuse can exacerbate this. Many young people will medicate by turning to alcohol or drugs. If you're aware that your child or your child's friend is using drugs or alcohol, seek help. Isolating or withdrawing can certainly exacerbate depression and negative feelings. A loss of hope can continue to and can contribute to the feelings of desperation. Suicide crisis can often be a short-term idea, if you will, or a short-term solution, but having access to guns makes it for them to carry out an act in an instant. You have to remember that adolescents' frontal lobe is not fully developed, and so they can think irrationally, impulsively, and follow through without really considering the full implications. Many people keep unlocked guns in their homes, which makes it so much easier for them to access them, to get quickly, and it can be a deadly result for any young person. You can immediately reduce the risk of suicide by not storing a gun in your home. And if you do choose to store a gun in your home, then keep it locked, unloaded, and store the ammunition or in a separate location. Thoughts of suicide. When someone has a thought of suicide, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're wanting to die. Instead, the person is trying to solve a problem of intense emotional pain and helplessness. People generally do not want to die. They want to stop. How can we prevent suicide? You play a really important role in that, in helping young people keep safe. There are many areas where we can intervene before someone reaches the point of considering suicide. When young people get treatment for depression or substance use, they can feel much better. Helping them build connection to peers and adults, as well as healthy coping, can help buffer young people during difficult times, can contribute to a feeling of hope. Your child also has a really important role, and we're now going to transition to what students are learning in our schools through the Signs of Suicide program. Through the SOS, Signs of Suicide, students watch a video and then they engage in class discussions to learn to act, acknowledge, care, tell. Acknowledging the signs of depression or suicide that they might notice and observe a friend. They show their friend that they care, and then they can adult. Students you're really key in this and very important, because your student might come home and talk to you about a friend that they're concerned about, or they might even tell you that they're struggling themselves. So we're going to next walk through each step. Acknowledging the warning signs. Most people are giving clues when they're thinking about suicide. Not always, but most of the time. And this can be demonstrated through anger, or intense moods, or really notice big changes in their behavior. They start to withdraw from family and friends. They have a real sense of hopelessness. They may be sleeping more, or they might be sleeping less. Engaging in drinking or drug use, or just having this overwhelming pain and desperation. And obviously, talking about suicide. You know, if a child exhibits one or more of these warning signs, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're thinking or considering suicide, but it's always a good idea to engage conversation and talk to them about it. And it's important for parents and family members to know these signs as well. Show you care. Students are learning about the power of listening to their friends and showing that they care. We're encouraging students to active listen when they're concerned about a friend. Just by using a few of these simple phrases, like, you know what, it's okay that you're feeling that way, and tell me more about it. Just being empathetic, saying, hey, I'm here, can really communicate that they care, they want to be there for their friends. And the next step is, right now during the presentation, yeah, we are, and I'm glad. Yeah, there will be time at the end for questions. So thank you for asking. Yeah, so there should be time. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Particularly in this format of live streaming, people may be coming and going. So as they're watching. So thank you. SOS encourages students to reach out and tell a trusted adult. And we are encouraging during this training for students to think about who the trusted adults are for them in school, out of school, that they can go to and turn to in times of distress. So we're telling students that if you are worried about your friend, we're really emphasizing that they need to tell a trusted adult. And one of the really important messages, key messages that we're communicating to students is how critical it is that they not promise to keep a secret. That if a friend confides that they are considering that they're having thoughts of suicide, and we also communicate with them that it's worth making a friend mad in exchange for helping to save a student's life. So they may come to you and say, Mom, or Dad, I need to talk to you about a friend that I'm worried about. And if your child is worried about a friend after signs of suicide, if they come to you, then you might be the trusted adult, not only in your child's life, but also in their friend's life. And if your child or a child is concerned about a friend, then here are some things you can do. Listen to your child's concern first and foremost, and encourage them to seek help. Contact your friends' parents directly. You are not overstepping if you reach out. If you have this kind of information, you're not overstepping if you reach out and contact that friend's parents and share your child's concerns. Contact the school mental health staff, our social workers, our school counselors, even an administrator, so that they can support the child and family. And right here, I want to pause and say, your school counselors and school social workers are just such highly skilled professionals. But particularly with school counselors, their role is supporting all students in the school, and particularly in their caseload, like here at the high school and at the middle school, they have a caseload of students that they work with. They are not trained, they do not have the training to be mental health therapists. So they can provide short-term help, they can help make referrals to community resources and community professionals that can help. But they're not going to be in a position to be able to provide long-term therapy and therapeutic support. So just know that distinction about their role versus maybe a mental health therapist who comes to the school, or perhaps even a school social worker. First and foremost, if you are concerned about a child's safety, if you think that they're going to harm themselves, you think that they're in danger of harming themselves imminently or immediately, contact 911 and reassure your child and your student that they did the right thing by telling you, and you can work together to save a life. Remember that help is always available. You can contact your pediatrician, your child's pediatrician, or your medical doctor. Again, the school counselor, and for immediate and emergent assistance, call 911. And remember that you can always, if it's on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, weekends, evenings, you can contact that suicide prevention lifeline, and a trained professional will be on the other end of the phone and can walk you through and provide support and walk you through what might happen next. Again, I want to acknowledge that this is a difficult conversation for all of us. You may be aware of someone who's struggling. You may have experienced a friend who has struggled, or who has experienced a loved one who died by suicide. I want to let you know that you do not have to be an expert or have all the answers. Give yourself permission to be human and realize that if you're coming from a place of wanting to help, and it's really common to feel uncomfortable about this topic, you might want to talk to a friend or talk to someone that you trust who is supportive and can kind of help you prepare for it beforehand and then debrief with you afterwards. Most importantly, though, do not keep this to yourself. If there is a child that is hurting, or that you think is in trouble, who is struggling, and who may be considering suicide, do not keep it a secret. The good news is there are protective factors that can be built. There are skills and strategies that we can teach our young people that can help to prevent suicide. You know, some of our students actually thrived, believe it or not, during remote learning and distance learning. They preferred it, while others struggled without their favorite sports, their friends, their activities, just getting to be together socially. I want to encourage you to connect, to help your student connect and figure out ways to stay connected this year. Also, let your child know that you're always ready to listen. Whether they're concerned about a friend or struggling themselves, they don't need to worry alone. We can also help students build coping skills. Let's face it, we all face unpleasant feelings. We all face difficulties in life. And part of learning and becoming resilient is learning how to navigate those difficult times. We can, as parents and as adults, can help our students build those skills. Some of those include exercise, writing down what you're grateful for, keeping a gratitude journal. That has been found to be a very effective way for us to elevate our moods. Talk to friends and family. Don't, give students and kids a place and a safe place to talk and share honestly how they're feeling. Listening to music can be helpful and help them cope. And I would encourage you to, brainstorm with your teens. What are their favorite coping skills? It might be playing or snuggling with their favorite pet, or escaping with a good book, or a TV series, or getting involved in competitive sports or games that they enjoy, or hobbies. I think I skipped one. A key message that we want to communicate to you tonight is to have that open conversation about mental health with your kids. This can be tough, but you can help normalize a conversation about depression, anxiety, because these feelings can be hidden. Depression is not a character flaw. It's a mental health disorder, and it's treatable. I've really been encouraged that I'm thinking about our athletes and other famous people who have come forward and talked openly about their struggles with anxiety, depression, other mental health disorders. Think about Simone Biles last summer as a prime example. And Michael Phelps has been very vocal and outspoken about his struggles and his journey with mental health issues. So some of the things that you can do to encourage and to make sure that your child knows that they can talk to you are to ask open-ended questions. Let your child steer the conversation on what they want to talk about. Don't rush to solve their problems. I know that often we want to fix it for them. Just ask them what they would want. We want to build that resiliency in them. We want them to be engaged and to feel confident that they can be problem solvers. And then, most of all, be available. Make sure they know that you're available to talk to them whenever, and it may not be right now, but they might want to do, they let them know that they can talk to you whenever they want to talk to you about a problem. Sometimes we struggle with the actual words. We think we have to know exactly what to say when it comes to talking about suicide. I want you to rest assured that saying the word suicide, bringing up the topic of suicide, will not put that idea in their head that, I think I should go do that. No, instead, it lets them know that you see how much pain they're in and that you want to help, that you want to support them in this. If you're concerned that your child is thinking about suicide, you can indirectly talk to them about it, like saying, do you wish that you could just go to sleep one night and never wake up again? Or do you wish you were dead? Or you might even approach it with them really directly and ask a direct question like, have you thought about killing yourself? Have you thought about Suicide, have you had thoughts about that? This can be a really difficult conversation no matter what. And if it's too difficult for you to do this on your own, well then enlist help. It might be a parent, a relative, a friend, a school counselor, someone in your community, a coach, someone that your child has a relationship that they trust. Sometimes that can be helpful if parents are feeling shut out and shut down. Here's some tips. Here's some ideas, and you've probably utilized some of these just in trying to communicate with your adolescent and your teenager. But here's some ways that can help foster conversation with your teen. Sure. What would you like to share?
Some of us have already been involved with
Yeah. Okay, what would you like to?
been specifically involved in, a couple instances.
What did you find that what strategies did you use, or what was helpful?
It was tragic
Okay,
for my daughter
okay.
to go through, for her to experience.
Absolutely,
Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
yes.
Her friend survived, thankfully. And then she went through another one just recently where we had to go through, which is a whole other heartbreaking incident. Here at high school, and yeah, but we found her, but we found her.
Thank you.
And it was heartbreaking. And it was on the Sunday, and there was
It's a really heavy thing for students to go through with their friends, and that's why we're here tonight, to talk about the support that's needed and the support that's necessary. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you for sharing that. I think you just amplify how important it is that we all are available and make ourselves available when our students, when our children are in a position where they're going to be supporting a friend who is struggling. We don't want, one huge thing that we want to make sure our children know is that they don't have to go through this with a friend alone, that there is help. There is help available. Getting back to some of the proactive and things that we can do to help our students talk when they're struggling, and just to, in general, even if your child isn't depressed, adolescence is a time when they're learning how to communicate their feelings and deal with kind of all the big feelings and the myriad of issues that they're dealing with as they're navigating life. One way is just play a game. Sometimes that can just set the tone, make it more comfortable for them to discuss a difficult topic. Not that you want to make a game a downer topic, but it can just be something that you can just kind of naturally have a calm conversation about. You can always go out for a walk, or I always found when I had teenagers, taking them somewhere in the car. They didn't have to make eye contact with me, and then they would spill. They would talk. They'd be more willing to talk when they don't feel threatened or feel like you're zoning in on them. You could continue the conversation, have little mini conversations, and not maybe always feel like you have to have the one big talk. It doesn't have to be a big dramatic thing. It can just be part of, woven into just the conversations of what is going on in daily life, what's happening with their friends, and just talk about. I'm sure you talk about use opportunities to teach your kids, and this can be another topic that you're teaching them about and dialoguing about. And then, if a parent is being, like I say, if a parent is being shut out, then maybe enlisting the help of an adult that they do feel comfortable with, they can talk with. So to summarize, a few action steps that you can take. Number one, look out for those warning signs and seek help immediately. Don't wait. Don't say, is this just a bad day, or is this a string? Is this a pattern? Help build those coping skills. Help build those within your students. Give them that toolbox. And that's what we're trying to do through the Signs of Suicide curriculum, is to help give students tools and strategies that they can utilize and they can bring out and use. Any of those positive supports. And then talk to your child about suicide and be ready to listen when your child acts. Together we can make a difference. You play an important role in your students' life and in the lives of their friends. And particularly in letting them know that they're not alone in their fight, and you're not alone in your fight to prevent youth suicide. Our schools, this is a great community that is coming together to provide that network and web of support to support students. If you'll look at this graph, you'll notice the two leading causes of death for kids, for our youth. And if I want us to focus for a minute on the number one leading cause of death, and that's accidents. But over the 15 years, you know how that trend has gone down, and our nation has dramatically reduced the number of teens who are dying in car accidents. Well, how did we do that? Well, we have safer cars, safer roads, we have increased driver's education, we have strict licensing requirements for teens, we have increased drinking and driving laws, and no texting while driving laws, and hands-free laws, and reduced speed limits. So I'd like you to think about, for all of us to think about, things that we can do as trusted adults, as parents, as teachers, as staff, as community members, to prevent suicide. And think about how you and I and the community can partner with school mental health staff and our community mental health professionals to keep kids safe. I want to let you know of one resource that could be available to you anytime. You can access the Signs of Suicide parent page, the SOS parent page. If you go to signsofsuicide.org/parent, you can view clips of the program videos to learn more about the program that your child is receiving. And if you're concerned about your child or a friend's child, you can take an anonymous screening to indicate whether it's likely your child is struggling with depression. So we will make this, again, we'll make this resource and this URL available on the district website as well. I just want to summarize this training tonight, our time together tonight, by reminding you as parents to act if your child is showing any concerning signs, and let you know that this infographic is available on that SOS portal that I just showed you. I would encourage you to print it and maybe hang it on your fridge or someplace prominently as a conversation starter, a way to have that conversation with your student, with your child, to just, kind of see what they're thinking about it, and ask them if this is something that that they've ever struggled with or their friends have struggled with. I want to thank you for your investment in your students and in this community, and in making this community and the school a safe place and a continually safer place for your students. And together we can ensure that every student has a trusted adult to turn to. We so appreciate your support. And I speak on behalf of all of the staff here in Everett, in Anacortes School District. I do want to make sure that we have time for questions, so I think we have time to entertain any questions that you might have. No, that's okay. That's fine. You might have questions just about the Signs of Suicide program itself. And then I'll repeat it because you're not on a mic.
So what about this trend we see where people will say they seem so happy and then they're shocked?
That's actually, and I thought of that as I was preparing for this presentation, the warning signs of what's happening. They might give things away. They may be very up all of a sudden. And that can be, so, I guess my response to that, because I anticipated that question, my response to that would be, ultimately, we can never guarantee. There are no guarantees there that we're going to be able to diagnose or understand what's going on in the mind of another person, because it's complicated, right? What we know, though, is that there are things that we can do to hopefully mitigate and prevent more the number of kids and adults who are dying by suicide, by having the conversation, by making it a more normal topic of conversation that we have, and that's something that I don't know if any experts can respond to, but I think yours is a very good question that I share. Yes. You want to go next? Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm struck by some of the quotes you had for us parents. Do not keep this to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do not keep this a secret.
Yes.
Normalize the topic.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, this is a question for the school district administration in general, but I understand that there is a suicide epidemic here nationally.
Yes.
In our school district as well, in the high school, and that is something that the parents have not been informed about. There has been no numbers given to parents about how many students have attempted suicide within the last year or the last 2 years, and that's really important information for parents to know. Or even the last 6 months. It's really important information. It heightens our awareness of what's going on with their children. So I really think that should be shared with parents.
Okay. So I'm going to repeat what you shared for our listening audience, that acknowledging that there is a national epidemic of suicides, and that suicide has touched this school district. This parent is concerned about that, having that information communicated to parents about the number of suicides or suicide attempts. Yeah, okay, thank you. In the school district, requesting that kind of information. And I don't know if either one of you want to, Becky, if you want to.
Thank you for that question. We will definitely take that and, yep. Thank you for that question. It's important to know what information parents want to know and what information is important for our community. One of the things that's really, we have to make sure that we're allowed to, we have to, by law, make sure that we maintain student confidentiality. And so as we pull our data together and look at it, if we, depending on the threshold of the number, we certainly can share it. But if it's under a certain threshold, then we have to keep it, confidential to maintain confidentiality for students. Mhm.
As certain people who have been affected by certain things who have not been notified
Okay.
by the school district.
Okay.
The school district, their pride needs to notify us,
Okay.
and they have not.
So this question or statement that just was shared was that certain people who have been directly affected by, haven't been notified, is that by the school district? I'm not sure what you mean. Are we talking about the larger school notification or some individuals within the high school? Okay, okay. Okay, this is really important information, and one of the things that we are continuing to look at, and we started deepening our partnership and focus around mental health over the last year and a half. And we're here today, and these questions are really important because it will continue to ensure that we can revise what we are doing and continue to improve our process of transparency and our collaboration and communication with the community and parents and students. So I thank you for those questions and statements so that we can be aware of concerns and interest with our community and our parents. Are there any other questions? I don't know. Okay.
Know that you can always communicate your questions and concerns by contacting your school. You can let your school administrators know. If you have questions around your particular student, you can contact your school counselor. Again, if your student needs help, in addition to the school counselor, there are community agencies and the hotline, your pediatrician, your clergy member, whomever. Sure.
I just want to thank everybody for being here. I don't think we have any more questions in this very small group that's here. And also, with live streaming, we don't have an ability to do question and answer. What I wanted to let you know is some next steps. We will be, schools will be communicating out to different grade levels and with students and families when their students will be participating in the curriculum when they have their session on signs of suicide, and when they receive this training as well, and the supports that we will be providing during that time. We will post all of this information. The live stream is going to become a recorded, so tonight's meeting is also going to be turned into a recording. We will post that. We will have this on the PowerPoint presentation and a PDF, and some of the resources on the district website. And we can make sure that that's linked to the communication when we send out the communication to families about when the sessions will be happening with students. And I just wanted to let you, thank you again for partnering. This is, we want to support the whole child. It is our commitment to supporting the whole child. And a big part of that is our partnership on mental health and well-being. And so we really thank you for being a part of this. If there are additional questions, if it's school-specific questions, you can either reach out to your administrator or counselors. And if it's a district-specific question, you can always reach out to me. You can also reach out to me with a school-related question around this, and I'm happy to respond and support in the best way I can. We really appreciate the questions, the wonders, and the requests. That helps us to get better and evolve in our practice and our processes. And it is our commitment to partner with our families, with our students, with our community, with our staff, and to ensure that we are coordinating and collaborating, and we have transparency in our processes, and that we have transparency around how we're supporting students, both academically and social emotionally. And so thank you again for being here, and we look forward to continuing to partner with you throughout the years. And please feel free to reach out if you need. Thank you.